Now, the next word starts with a quotation mark, which you can't see. So, quotation mark. I am firmly behind protecting women's sports. We cannot have biological boys competing against women. It's bad for the trans community. Close quotation marks. Those are the words, well, they're not the words of a right-wing commentator or a so-called transphobe. They are the words of the most famous transgender person in the world, Caitlyn Jenner. Has the world finally woken up and realised that ideologically attempting to erase biology has some consequences, including wiping out or damaging the fairness of women's sport? Well, my next guest felt so strongly about this question that she travelled to the United States in recent days to protest there against the participation of Lia Thomas in the swimming championships in Atlanta. Here she is at that competition.
Shame! Shame on the NCAA!
Thank you for stopping by.
He's a man!
He's a man. She also debated the topic of transgender athletes with a bystander in a video which has subsequently gone viral and has had 1.4 million views on Twitter, asking him if he thought Lia Thomas's body was the same as the other women in the pool.
Are you saying you think that his body is the same as the other girls in the pool?
Everybody is
His,
different.
no. Are you saying he doesn't have male organs?
So do you think that
Are you
everything
saying he doesn't have male organs?
I'm not. I don't think that she. I think you're twisting words, and I think you have no idea. Actually, let me ask you.
Does he have? No, I'm a woman. That is not a woman.
Can I ask you a
That
question?
is not a woman.
Well, Kellie-Jay Keane joins me now. Welcome to you, back from your travels. Sometimes, well, you decided to go and deal with this on the spot, face-to-face with people, rather than sort of hurling grenades from the Twitter sphere. Did that strategy work, do you think?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, it did. First of all, I've been banned from Twitter for saying women don't have male appendages since 2018. So a bit tricky for me to try and launch grenades from there. I think it's really important in an environment like that. I actually went to America to talk in New York about this issue, about women's rights. I also talked outside the White House and protested outside the UN because they really do not care for women. But specifically looking at the Lia Thomas issue, I was in a room with hundreds of people who all knew that there was a man in the race with their daughters and with the girls in the pool. And everybody wanted to say it, and everyone is far too frightened to say it. So I really did feel it was my emperor's new clothes moment, and that it really did need to be said that he is in fact a man.
I wonder if we're going to look back, Kellie-Jay Keane, at this story, at Lia Thomas, and look back at it as a seminal moment. Scarlett Mccgwire is my studio guest today, and we were talking during the commercial break about that picture. And I know for rights reasons, I'm not sure we can use it, but people will have seen it. That picture. There's not that picture, but the picture of Lia Thomas standing alone.
Three girls standing together and him.
Exactly. And, you know, this is a complicated argument for people who don't follow every ticking comma. But actually, the image of the girls standing apart, smaller than Lia Thomas as well, but cleaving together, it just told its own story.
I mean, look, I don't think it is a complicated issue. I really don't. We've known since the dawn of time what is a man and what is a woman, and yet we now have to pretend that we don't know. We know who we want around our children in female-only spaces. We know who we want to invite into women's sports and who should be competing in women's sports. And it simply isn't a man. It's what's beautiful about this particular issue, this particular Lia Thomas, is that he is about 6'4", and he may well be just as much a victim as anyone else in this, because it is the NCAA, it's the Olympics, it's all of these supposed grown-ups that have made these catastrophically stupid recommendations that invite men into women's sports. And so I think it's absolutely vital that we just say, right, enough is enough now. It's gone a little bit too far. And in fact, it went too far quite some time ago. And let's get all grown-ups back in the room, talk common sense, and to allow women and girls the dignity and privacy of having their own spaces just for them.
Kellie-Jay Keane, as always, fascinating talking to you. Really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot. Scarlett Mccgwire is with me in the studio today for the next hour and a half or thereabouts. Was listening to that. The way Kellie-Jay Keane explains it, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. You don't see it that way.
No. I think sport is really difficult because I think that obviously the reason there are women and men's sports is absolutely physical. I mean, that men's bodies are different, that they're stronger, that the testosterone is more. And in a way, I mean, the more interesting case is the one of Caster Semenya, who is intergender. I mean, there's no point in saying that everybody is either male or female. I mean, she was a case in point where actually it was on the margins and it was discussed. And I mean, I think there should be a serious debate about women's sport. But to call Leah a man, I mean, I just think is deeply offensive. And to say there are women and men and that's it, is that actually there are a lot of people, I mean, a tiny minority, but you know, thousands, hundreds of thousands, who feel unhappy in their body and they change. And these are vulnerable people who have a terrible time. And actually to then start saying, oh, you're not really a woman. I mean, what's interesting, of course, is it doesn't happen the other way round. I mean, the women who become men just go quiet. I mean, I think this might say things about men and women, that you have the vociferous people men who've transitioned into women, but also you have women. I'm a feminist, absolutely straight down the line. I do not feel offended by them. What I think is we need to have a proper debate rather than throw things around. That's what I feel.
It's a good rule for life, I think, that, isn't it, Scarlett? Thanks very much indeed.